Hey everyone, today the people eater is on this cartoon green planet because sometimes even though you create and build in 3D, you want to create a less in your face 3D look. This video goes over creating your character's facial features peanut style, less about the modeling and more about the decaling. Let's get started. This is the model Maya that I want to put these mouth positions on, and they're the emotional states of a character. And these were created in Illustrator. The reason why they were created in Illustrator for the nice smooth vectorness, so this way if I have to go up in resolution, easy to do. It will go from Illustrator and back to Photoshop, which will eventually lead to a PNG, and this is an alpha in the background, which leads back to Maya. To get started, zoom into the area that you want to position the decal on, select the faces in that region. Make sure you select enough faces that the image will fit on it. If you feel you have to go outside a little more, select those. Shift selecting and shift double clicking to select that region. Next, go under Edit Mesh, Duplicate, and that makes a duplicate of the selected faces. You can pull them a little forward to make sure that they're offset from the surface. And that's all you have to do to get started. Deselect everything, reselect that new surface, and assign new material to it. I'm going to start out with a blend. I'm going to call this new material mouth. The color for the mouth is going to be attached to a file. And this is a swatch for the mouth. Take two. And now the mouth position file is connected. Select the mouth area and go under UVs, UV editor, and see how the UV editor lines up with the image. Selecting all the faces again. You can see that the UVs aren't correct to stretch across here. They're all bunched up. I'm going to go under UV, Automatic Mapping, and I get the correct shape. It's just not aligned with the right image yet. In the UV editor, just scale down and rotate the UV until it fits over the image that you're looking for. Guess our characters could be smiley. I'm going to shrink it a little more to be tighter around the image. I can see there's a little piece over here that's overlapping. So now I'll look at the UV. I'll select the faces and I'll scale them in a little more. And then I'll drag this UV over one of the bigger sizes just to make sure it fits. And right now, wow, it's fitting, but it's a little big. I can always go back to Photoshop and shrink the image. If I go too big, the grid gets in the way. Maybe the grid is something I should go back and delete since it's getting in the way. And after updating the Photoshop file, the PNG was saved and refreshed in Maya. Now there's more room, and the UV can be scaled a little bigger to fit the mouth. Let's see which pose to go with. Is the character not happy or confused? Maybe a bit puzzled. Why am I doing this to the character? Or some type of smile. Select the faces and feel free to move around. Being on a grid means that the UVs can be scripted to move over and rigged to a controller. We'll see a simpler version of that in another video. Here we're just going to try to put a facial expression on our character. And I think I'm going to go with the neutral smile, like that. Everything is done and wired up, except for Arnold doesn't recognize the alpha channel of PNGs. And this comes up in two places. When you're using a PNG without a mask and applying it to a character, or when you're trying to render out as PNGs. Here we're applying PNG to the character with the mouth, and when you render, you'll see it not look like you want it to at all. We're going to correct this in the hypershade. Before going to the hypershade, select the object, go back to the material type, mouth. Instead of the type being blend, I'm going to switch down to Lambert. And the reason for this is to make it less shiny when it renders. So that's with Lambert, and with a blend. And with a blend, it's a lot more shinier. This is how you make the alpha not reflect. Still, it's the same material as before. Now going into the hypershade, which is under Windows, Rendering Editors, Hypershade. Right-click on this Lambert 2, which I should give it a way better name than that. So instead of Lambert 2, it's called Mouth. And there it updates here. I'm going to right-click Graph Network. So when you right-click in Graph Network, the material nodes appear here in the workspace. Zoom in a little bit, and to go over the material nodes, I'm using the middle mouse button to pan around. This is how the texture is applied to the object, the coverage, rotation, the repeat UVs. This is the input node for the file itself, and this is the Lambert properties. Right now for transparency, for the Lambert shader, the output of this file is the transparency being used. However, when you render with Arnold, this isn't respected. So I'm going to delete this connection. Then I'm going to find a reverse node, and I'll start typing in reverse here. I'll click once to get that node out here. I'll expand this node and take the channels of the output of the alpha and wire them into each of the inputs. You can see it change up here. Next, I'll take the output and I'll wire that into the transparency. And so you can see here in the swatch, if I switch the swatch to, not a teapot, but a plane, by switching to a plane, it's easier to visualize. Now closing this and going back to the viewport, you don't see any change until you hit render, when now you can see the smile.